from your mouth. Give me something, please leave nothing out. Tell me a story from your Make me a good guy, not a woulda, shoulda, could guy. Make me a story from your mouth. Make me a villain now, won't that just be thrilling? No, make me a story from your. I'm in Munich on the Saturday the 25th and 26th of May. So you can pay at the door there, details on the website, and there you can join virtually as well. I have a spot or two left in the Black Forest, Germany on the 19th and 23rd of June. And I'm actually in Brussels, that's just organised for the end of July, which is the 27th and 28th of July. And Galway for a 4-day residential, 9th to the 12th of September. So there you go. And then there's this massive residential out in Vietnam in a 5-star hotel for peanuts. So that's not to be missed. In October.
Are you coming to London at all?
Yeah, I need to get back to London, definitely. Yesterday I was walking down the street and a lady came out of a shop and we bumped, almost collided, and she said, "Shall we dance?" And I would like to tell you I waltzed down the main street with her, but we didn't. But we did chat for a while. Today is a similar invitation in a way. It's an invitation. We're not dancing around anything, but in a way we are, because we can't talk directly about it. We can only point towards it. We can't say it. We can't know it. We can't understand it. And incredibly, we can't escape from it, because it's actually all there is. So this is an invitation, an energetic invitation from nothing to nobody, to see that actually there is nobody sitting here on a chair. There is nobody in the room. There's nobody listening to these words. There is no separate you. There never has been a separate individual you. There's just aliveness or energy, and energy is rooming, hamsteading, sounding. Whatever is arising is simply energy. But in that then there's a sense, a really felt, embodied sense of feeling like an individual. So that arises. All there is aliveness, oneness, wholeness. And in that oneness, wholeness, aliveness arises this really felt sense that there's a me or an individual or a you, whatever word you want to use. So it's a really felt sense that you are alive, so that you're in the body and you're looking out on the world. And then you feel then that you're kind of moving your way through life in a very kind of linear way. The past is behind you. You're in this thing called the now, or the moment, whatever that is, and you're moving into the future. And you are, because you have a life, you're making choices about your life. So everything that happens in your life is a result of the choices you've made, the decisions you've made. And so you are in control of your life. And we hear this from, this is what we hear. This is the first lesson we have. We hear it from our teachers and our parents, and this is what we soak up. And we feel, it's not an idea, we feel, could someone it's 1954. It's someone trying to get in, but if you're opening it, you don't need the code. So generally that's what we feel, and that's what's confirmed when we turn on the TV and we talk to people. What are you doing with your life? so on. You know, it's the reality we appear to live in is in one in which you are an individual and you have a life. You were born, you're living your life, and you will die. That's the only gig in town, really. And for some, they just appear to go about their lives and they're doing whatever, they're doing this job and they have this interest and whatever. But for some, there's a sensitivity or a question that there's something about them and their lives. There's something that doesn't really add up, and there's a sense of yearning for something. So there's a sense that there's something kind of missing in my life. I'm not sure what it is. I can't put my finger on it. And so this kind of search begins, and that will be different for everyone then. So if you feel like there's something missing, you would naturally, logically feel that there's something you can find that would be the thing that's missing. Be it an experience, a state of mind, knowing, whatever it is. So everyone in their own way will think, well, there's something missing, well, I can find it. Because I'm in a reality as an individual of things, objects, because I'm a subject, everything is an object. So if something is missing, I can find the thing that's missing and make my life complete. And that's totally, absolutely fine. That's just what appears to happen. So people search in different ways. They try and make lots of money, or they try and have success, or they try and get power, or whatever it is, trying to have loads of different experiences. And then for some, then maybe they look to try and become enlightened or whatever, and they think that maybe that's the thing they're looking for. And there's this sensitivity for some that there's something that I can't find. There's an openness or a resonance to another possibility. And this is what we're going to hear this afternoon. Another possibility that is not the one that you could ever imagine it to be. Never. You could, no matter what you think you're looking for and what you imagine it to be and what you conceptualize it as, it can't be that. That's another concept. So you will never have it, you will never know it, you can't imagine it. And incredibly, it's just simply already whatever is appearing to happen. It's totally inescapable. You cannot be escaped from. And that can, in a sharing like this, that can just be obvious. It can just be obvious that there's just aliveness, there's just bodies in the room, sounds, there's just energy. There's no you that's sitting on the chair, there's nobody that's speaking. That this is everything as a room in London. And all there is nothing being everything. All there is boundless, unconditional love. So we'll see what happens. If apparently happens, there's no such thing as a silly question, or there's just something arises, something that you want to know. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You can't go wrong or you can't go right. It's not about getting an answer to the question. It can be seen that there's actually not even a question. So this is all about a resonance, it's all energetic. And if you just stay with the concept, that's just what's happening too. That's okay. But there's something that's beyond the concept and beyond the question and the answer, and it's just simply whatever is appearing to happen. It's too simple and ordinary, so we go looking somewhere else for it. But maybe it will be seen. So we'll have a dance. Anyone wants to? I'll let you hold it first. Okay. Hi, Angie.
Hello. I have a question. You say what is search for is whatever's appearing to happen. And for me, it feels like what is search for is more like a relaxation into whatever's appearing to happen.
Hmm.
So whatever's appearing to happen has some sort of content in it.
Yeah,
So, so for me, it feels like the search is for an acceptance with whatever is appearing to happen.
yeah. I know. I understand what you're saying. Um, it's maybe a little bit semantics too, and words. You know, it can't be described. When I say whatever is appearing to happen, that's that's not it either. You know, it's just aliveness. So anything I say about it isn't it, but it's trying to illuminate that as an individual, you think that it's a lived sense of trying to know something and trying to get somewhere, and you're really kind of rejecting what's appearing to happen in favor of what might be or could be.
Yeah,
That's the suggestion then. So I like what you said, and definitely the only thing I would say is for me, kind of saying it's an acceptance, it's a bit difficult because it almost implies for people, I think, that it's somebody's accepting what's appearing to happen, you know?
yeah, yeah.
But
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and in this story of the humanity and evolution and all this, it seems like this evolution is almost in a way working against the
Mm,
human being because uh, I, I feel maybe I'm wrong, but like the other creatures, they don't have this yearning that we have. So it's
mm,
almost like we consider ourselves an evolved species, but then there's this yearning and
yeah.
then this sense of individuality
Mm,
that is adds an extra layer on the aliveness.
mm. Yeah,
So
it's a story. We're in as 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 human beings, we're in an apparent reality. That
yeah,
reality, we don't think that's an apparent reality. We actually think that it's a reflection of absolute reality, and that we can know absolute reality or get close to knowing it. And so the reality we're in is a causal reality, where
yeah,
there's time and space, and there's one thing leads to another, and things are really happening in that manner. And
yeah,
actually, all of that is just a story. And when people describe that, what they're describing really is this model of reality that's been made. And that's all
yeah.
it is. So what the
So
suggestion really is that it's actually it is just aliveness, because all there is aliveness. It's just wholeness or aliveness as that.
yeah,
And aliveness is also, you know, trees and animals and everything else, of course. But it's uniquely a human ignorance that there's us with our lives, and then there's another thing called nature and the world, which we're gonna save, which is really nice of us.
yeah, so that's what I find funny in the story. You know, I find funny that in the story, we consider ourselves a more evolved species, but at the same time, we come with this struggle. You know, we
Yeah,
sort of have this struggle for ourselves, for
yeah,
the
yeah. And it's all just an empty story. It means it's
yeah,
absolutely meaningless and doesn't have any significance whatsoever.
yeah,
And it will be, it's just like that until it isn't. And it's really what it is knowing. It's we're in an abstraction of feeling that there's the world and there's us. And out of that sense of separation, we can know then. We can abstract knowledge. And then that knowledge just gets more and more and more and more and more and more and more complicated.
yeah.
And it's all just information. It's all empty. It's all just information.
Yeah, I like to say that's like building castles in the sky without
Yeah,
any
yeah.
foundation. So we're building on top of assumptions, on top of all this.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how it is. Like, if someone here or someone online or whatever it is, they feel that you feel like you have a life, you really, at this suggestion, what that's been made here, you want to know it. You want to know what's been talked about, and you want to know. Well, I want to know what Kenneth knows, or it's a reality in which you're living in knowing. There's a really felt sense that life is knowable and I can know it. And I know this about geopolitics, and I know this about my past, and I know this about psychology and behavior and people and blah, 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 blah. And all it is just really an abstraction. That's all it is. We're going around this, we're going around this loop of ourselves, apparently, in that loop of knowing. And we feel then, logically, there's nothing right or wrong with any of this, of course, it's just what happens. But we feel logically that there's something in the knowing that will get us out of the knowing. So if we think, it was suggested, I stood up, and I suggested it's unknowable. And of course, the individual would say, well, I want to know that it's unknowable. So of course you sense that it is, because that's the apparent reality you seem to be in, that you have a life and things are really happening and things are noble, and all the time you feel that there's that feeling. There's a yearning. There's a yearning for unknowing, because it's known. It's you are nothing being everything, and it's known completely that that's all a story, and it's dissatisfying. So there's a draw to this, what's been shared here. It's absolutely, there's a yearning for this, and there's a complete, total and utter fear of this, because it's about unknowing. Unknowing is there being no you to know. So that's what we're actually yearning for, which is just what's appearing to happen. And that's what we're completely terrified of. So there's a paradox for you. But it's all a reflection of the same. It seems like a bigger story with countries and this and all of that going on, and it's all just a play of light. It's all a story. This is unknowable. How can you? It's only the individual that could know, sitting in this room in Hampstead. It's only from a sense of separation that I could know. Then I know Hampstead, and I know what sort of a town it is, and I know sitting on a seat, and actually this is completely unknowable, because it's so immediately is and isn't. It's nothing being everything. It's ungraspable and unknowable.
It's funny when we say I know something, how we dismiss everything that's happening.
Yeah.
As you say, when I'm now sitting on a chair, so I can just ignore all the sensations and everything.
Yeah.
I can ignore my experience of sitting in the chair because I know it already. So I can do other things, focus externally on what is.
Yeah. You're continually kind of living in the future, or in this model of you in a way, and it's very ordinary and boring in a sense. It's like, oh, sitting on a chair, yeah, whoop-de-doo, that's great, Kenneth. You're not selling it to me, no. I mean, you are a dualistic dream of special, not special. So sitting on a chair and there's traffic and there's sound, it's not very special, really. So we just kind of move towards the next kind of peak, the next special experience or whatever. So we're rejecting what is actually being yearned for, in hopeful anticipation of what could be, what might be. So we're in this kind of model of ourselves and the world. Apparently, we're not really, but yeah. So that's why this is totally hopeless. This whole afternoon is completely hopeless, because it has to be, because what would there be to hope for? If this is everything, where is there to get to? You know?
So then, of course, the individual, once he or she knows something, then they want more and more and more,
Oh yeah.
looking for
Mm.
more
It's
special experiences. Like, could
yeah,
be travel, could be like spiritual, all kinds of
yeah. Yeah, the more difficult and complex it is, the more appealing it is to the individual, because it just reinforces they know then they'll never get there.
yeah.
They
It
never really
talks.
get there. So it's a great way it's a great way to reject what you're actually looking for,
Exactly. Yeah.
and keep yourself in this bubble of me, to keep this apparent reality where there's me and the world. That's why most communications offer some sort of knowing and a kind of levels and steps and how to get there, and there's the individual loves all of that, and then there's a real sense that there's someone at the top. They've made it. That's the guru guy or the teacher guy, and they have something. There's something special about them then, and in that reality, it's incredible, because they actually, in that reality, they really would say there is something special about this woman or man, and there's an aura about a specialness of them, and they're enlightened maybe or whatever. And if that's a lived reality for the individual, then they really will feel that, and they'll feel that maybe I could get that too, or get some of that, or and it's all a story. There's no such thing as an enlightened person or a teacher or a guru, or there's nothing special actually, of course, because there's no special, not special, are from the dream, the dualistic dream of feeling that there's you and life.
It's interesting how this sense of special, not special, can be really subtle. To me, that's the part that seems more complicated. Say, like sitting here,
Yeah.
feeling like a person. I'm embarrassed to say, but I know it's a person, it's a dream. But to say,
Why
oh,
would
you
be
look at
embarrassed
me.
to say that,
Well,
though?
because you look at me, and you're talking to me, So I'm just taking a kind of step of
Yeah.
into somewhere that could be scary to the separate self. But I feel like it's worth saying here.
Oh, totally. Say whatever. You cannot go wrong here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible. It's literally impossible to go wrong with anything. There's no silly questions. It's impossible. That's only in the mind of the individual.
It has a power, this sense of wanting to be seen and therefore special.
Yeah. It apparently has a power, yeah.
Apparently.
It's just what's appearing to happen.
Yeah.
Like if there's a sense that someone is listening to what's been said and looking at this character, Kenneth, and feels that a sense of separation, it's just what's appearing to happen. And it will be like that till it isn't. And then if it isn't, it's actually indescribable. It's nothing even happens. It's not even a happening. It's seen that I never really was. I was always a story.
Yeah.
So all anybody can do is, if a question comes up, it's just there to be asked. It doesn't matter. You literally can't go wrong. Or someone says, well, I feel separate, or that's just what's appearing to happen. Because that's wholeness as that.
It felt like a confession.
Yeah.
That's why I felt like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I know it's all...
I'm sorry, guys. I'm the individual in the room. I know the rest of you. I'm just going to out myself now at the beginning. I know you're all nobodies, and I hope to be a nobody too, but
And even as I,
I could
make
feel it
eye
energetically. I knew there was one.
I'm really looking for it to go as well. Can you just go? I know if I just stay here with this long enough, it will. I'm going to have this other thing, which cannot have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Thanks.
it's there's just what's appearing to happen, and so if whatever you describe there is just also what's appearing to happen, and you cannot go wrong because there's a question and there seems to be an answer from here, but actually the answer is from nothing, and there can be an openness or a readiness or a sensitivity that actually this isn't about the answer. This isn't about the me getting an answer to the question. There's something else. Like all of the questions and the answers, it's like an excuse for something else. And the something else isn't actually something else, but it's just a resonance in which it's just so obvious. This is just everything. It's unknowable, completely unknowable, ungraspable, inescapable, and it can be sensed energetically. But of course, like that's the whole thing about these meetings is the apparent individual obviously has a question. There wouldn't be a meeting otherwise, and there seems to be an answer. And then in that not getting an answer and not being seen as an individual, it's just there's a boundless quality to it. So, yeah. We're all individuals. I'm not.
Yes, I don't know how close I have to. Is it on?
Yeah, I think it's on, yeah.
Yes, I'm just thinking of how you say it's not the words themselves, and I'm thinking of wind that doesn't have any shape or form, but as it hits the leaves of a tree, you hear it. So that's what it could be like. But also when I hear the words, it's almost like the words are not listened to, and there's that resonating or whatever. It does sound empty. The words sound empty.
Yeah.
And
I hear that quite a lot. People, they go to meetings and they couldn't even tell you what was said, almost like it's just there's no focus on what's said at all. Actually, you'd hear that from people.
Yes. I would say here it feels like vibrational.
Yeah.
So when you start speaking, for example, it feels like cellular. There's vibration, and there's not. It doesn't feel like there's a questioning mind anymore, trying to grasp, trying to understand. It's just calm.
Yeah, and it's very simple. It's very direct. And it's very ordinary. It's just what it's going to happen. That's it. It's inescapable. Like we're calling this in the story. We're calling this a meeting in Hampstead, London. But if you put down the mic and went out the door and down to the main street and into the pub, you'd find aliveness in the pub, because you can't escape aliveness, and that's what's being spoken of. It's inescapable what's yearned for. So everything that appears to happen is appearing to happen. So this illumination is the shift from a possibility to see that everything is really happening. There's really a me. It's happening in time and space. I'm living in the real. To it's just everything is empty. It's a story, and then there's full-on aliveness for nobody.
I'm nodding, but I haven't got a clue. It's like the head nods automatically.
But I like your one about the wind, actually. Yeah, it's like you can't see the wind, but you can see the leaves stirring, and similarly with waves. I've spoken about it loads of times now, but there was a documentary called The Secret Life of Waves on Channel 4. I think it was Channel 4, maybe BBC, one of them anyway. and it was really well made, and it kind of got quite esoteric. It did go into the science of waves, but towards the end it was linking it to life and death and all of this. But it was, you know, the illusion of a wave is that you're thinking, you look and you see a wave and you think it, to the eye it looks like a wave that comes and then crashes on the ocean, on the shore, I mean. And actually they showed that actually it's not actually coming at you like this. Actually the water's going like that, and what you're looking at is pure energy just appearing to move through the water, which you then think is a wave. And it's a lovely analogy to death and life, because really when you feel that you're living your life and you have a life and you're living your life, it's an illusion, like just like a wave that comes like this. You're born, you know, you're born out when the swell hit the rocks and it formed, and then you lived your life coming in, and then crash. It's all over, you know, and everyone's very sad and everything, and it's an illusion, because all it was energy. All it is energy. All there is energy appearing as this thing called a wave, which then started, had a period, and then finished. And it's the same. You feel that you were born, you have a life, and then you'll stop. And all that happens on death really is the end of the dream. That it's liberation. There's no death, because it's seen that it's not two. There's not a thing called life and a thing called death. And there's not a thing called me that has a life. So nobody's ever lived their life. Ever. None of you got up out of bed this morning, but getting up out of bed happened, and putting on clothes happened, and getting the bus or getting in the car or whatever happened. But then if, as an individual, there's a really felt sense that I got out of bed, I decided what to wear, I decided how to make my way to Hampstead or whatever, and it's a really felt sense that you're there and you're in control and you're doing everything. And all the time there is that. It's a half alive way of being, and there's a question mark. It's dissatisfying. It's because all you can see are objects, things, and you feel like an object. So there's a huge question, which we're dancing around now for the afternoon. And it's incredible, because actually that yearning that I'm speaking of is stunningly actually just for whatever is appearing to happen. It's already just this. It's incredible. It's such a shock to the individual, because they have this thesis of what it is they're looking for. You know, it's literally a thesis. Like it's a, oh, I'm not enough this, and I'm too much that, and I need to work on this, and I'm, you know, and I'm there, and I'm not, you know, it's just this this narrative always of who you are as a person and what you need to do to get there, whatever. And all of that is completely empty. What you're looking for has nothing whatsoever to do with you. Nothing. Doesn't matter how fucked up you think you are, or how great you think you are, or whatever it is. It's all just a story. Do we have water, Alvin?
Yeah.
Thanks a million.
So, Kenneth, it's like a reluctance to just be, or to see what is. There's that
Well, it's an energetic sense of feeling like an individual. So it's a really contracted, energetic. It's not an idea like or a thought. It's a really cellular, contracted sense of feeling in the body. It's my body. It's my life. So when that's there, excuse me, there's no sense here that can be in any way touched. It's just there. It appears to be there or it doesn't. It just appears to be there. But from here, when this communication, there is no individual here. There's no individual sitting in the room. But when people talk, maybe sometimes they confess they are an individual. We'll have someone else owning up now before the end of the day, don't worry.
I can facilitate that.
It's a reality, like it's a lived reality of feeling like separate. It's like it's like a filter or if you have all the senses, if you think of all the senses, it's like they're pouring through this filter, and this filter is called me. So there's talking now, there's sound, there's sensations in the body, sitting on a chair, maybe there's a thought or an emotion or whatever there is. But when that contracted sense of being separate is there, it's only an appearance, it appears to be there, then there's a really felt sense that I'm hearing the sound and I'm seeing the things and I'm thinking the thought.
I could only think of a coffee filter.
Yeah.
When you started talking about
yeah.
coffee filter, so I see the coffee being in the filter
Okay.
itself.
Yeah. Bad analogy then, maybe. Yeah, you see, the thing is, it's also not like anything. We talk about, and I use all side but again, it's back to the whole thing of what's being talked about this afternoon is not describable, or but it will feel like it's not up for debate or question, or it's just like if you go down the main street there, like what are you talking about? I don't have a life. Like what of course I have a life. Like that's the apparent reality for vast majority. And in the story, then they're continually being fed a narrative. It's all a narrative, and you as an individual, you're eating a narrative that maintains you, and that's what all we hear really is about you and your life and this special person here and blah blah blah. But at any time, it can be seen that it is a narrative. It is a story, But as an individual, it doesn't feel like a story. I have a life, it's real. You have your life.
So, yes, it's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell.
These days that if there's someone who has a life.
Oh, for you there, yeah, okay, I understand. Yeah.
And then sometimes things that I would have seen as outside of me before.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anymore. It's just like instead of separate potatoes, like mashed potato. It's like, and the sounds sometimes I don't know where they come from. They seem to be just in space somewhere. Yeah. Even though I heard the alarm clock this morning.
Yeah.
There's a thought that's the alarm clock, but then it's just sound in space, and so.
Yeah, it's very natural and ordinary and simple. But it's not like when people first hear this, invariably they'll imagine what's being talked about, and they'll have a concept of it, and they often build on that concept. And if they actually appear to fall away, because they don't really fall away because they're not there, you'd often get a lot of laughter and a lot of saying, it's so ridiculous. My idea of what was this non-duality thing was so ridiculous. in comparison to actually what it actually is. And I couldn't have imagined what it actually is, not because it's terribly complicated, because it's so it's so directly, simply already just this. It's just so simple. And then, you know.
But then the complexity is just that, and it's thereby, it's no one's fault, no one's already there.
Yeah, it can be that it can be like that the sense of being a solid individual just kind of doesn't seem to be there. But then the sense of the story appearing to be real can appear to come back. But also it can be that it doesn't come back for anybody. That it's just another thing that appears to happen. You know, so then it's seen, well, if it's inescapable, of course that's just another thing that's appearing to happen. So then it's like, well, so what? Because there's nobody there to kind of collect it, you know, and to kind of say, oh, this is me back again, knowing the sound of the alarm clock or whatever it is. It's just whatever. It's not, another way of putting it is, this isn't it's not a state. It's not a state. I'm not in some sort of state at all. Any speaker that's clear will be very clear about that. I'm not speaking from like a non-dual space, or it's not an experience. It's not a state. It's just it's impossible to describe because it's just too ordinary and simple. There's just what's appearing to happen, and amazingly, there's just what's appearing to happen there for all he as well. But there may be this kind of overlay, or this sense of there being. So it's an addition, really, you know, that just plays out like it does. It appears to be there until it doesn't. Don't worry, I'm not going to the pub or anything. And he just took off to the pub in the middle of a talk. No, I just got a slight, maybe, I don't know, I'm fine. I just got a slight kind of. Maybe. Are other people a bit chilly? Well, we could probably close. You're feeling a bit chilly? Oh, yeah.
That's okay, I've got more I can put on if anyone's.
Yeah. Comfort rug. Oh, you've a hand up, sorry. Yeah, Angie, is that up from before? Do you want to?
Yes, it's about what you said, that the individual doesn't even want to go there when it first hears this. But it's funny, once you start questioning it, like everything informs you of it. And because there is no path to anything really. Like even if you think of success in worldly terms or whatever, there's no path to anything. You cannot prescribe anything, and expect the same outcome for
Mm.
everyone every time. It's okay, maybe it works for one or two individuals, but it doesn't work for everyone.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, it's just a
How can
story.
you believe that there's a path to anything? There
Yeah,
is no such thing. It's just a happening. Huh.
yeah, it could only be in a dualistic dream. So
Yeah,
any time, like most, there's no such thing even as non-duality, and most speakers under that heading of non-duality are in that dualistic dream, and they speak to people about what they can do to not be an individual. So they're speaking to an individual about what the individual can do to not be an individual.
yeah,
That's essentially what they're doing, and so it's a teaching of imprisonment, and they're offering a path to wholeness. So if they're offering a path to wholeness, then it's not wholeness. We've
no,
gone to some other country, haven't we? We got to
yeah,
get
but
back
not
to the wholeness
exactly
country.
like the wholeness.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But my suggestion was that there's even in the dualistic dream,
Oh
if
yeah,
you start
even in the story,
reference,
it doesn't make sense. I
mm,
get your
mm,
point. Yeah, even in the story, like it's what's that quote of the person who said, "Don't read the books I read. I don't want you to read the books I read. I don't want you to go to the places I went to. I don't want you to like just do whatever. Why would I want you to do the things I did? Because I'm overlaying my reality onto you to try and
yeah,
So even logically in the story, you can see how it's a projection of an experience or a reality in which this worked for me, so this should work for you, and even that can logically fall apart. Yeah,
exactly, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how could anyone believe there's one path to whatever you call it, liberation or, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and that's what people do. Like people would say, for instance, if they meditated, right, and they felt like their life was a mess, they started meditation, everything just kind of slowed down, and suddenly everything became a lot more fuller and more enjoyable, and they started feeling alive again. So then they start telling God, you should try this meditation thing, it worked for me. And then people come and they listen, and then more people come and more people come, and then it becomes so a lot of speakers are actually totally sincere in that way, in that, well, this is what worked for me, maybe it'll work for you. And it's not wrong or right, of course it isn't, it's just a story, but it's very appealing in the dualistic dream, because the apparent individual wants to hear from somebody who's gotten there, and finds it very seductive then that they know, and then if I do what they say, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but
So the
then
whole thing
places
here.
even more burden on the individual because they're not gonna get to the same place, and then all
Yeah,
kinds of feelings of being inadequate or not doing enough or not putting enough effort or not doing it right and all
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, it will just play out like it plays out, in the same way that someone could say, this person is my teacher, Guji Aji Muji Ganji Baji Waji, and they're my teacher, and I'm their student, and I've been following them for 30 years, and I even went to the ashram in India and washed their feet, and it was just, it's just, oh, oh my God, I can't even express, it's just, and then they could feel like that till they die. They could feel that, they could really, maybe they do, or it could be just bang, just all collapses. It's just, and that's, you'd often hear from people like that. They're in that reality in which someone is special and knows something, and they're following this path
Yeah.
that's been, and then it just collapses. And then, sometimes they end up at these kinds of meetings. Maybe. So there's no way, it just plays out like it plays out, Or someone could have in their reality, they could also have a sense that I was in a low part of my life and I met this person and they actually helped me because I could actually talk to them. And so that's their lived reality then. It's not that they're wrong, it's just that the suggestion is it's just an appearance. You
Yeah.
appeared to meet what you feel is another person, to express yourself, then felt better. So that's just all you, like, in the same way that kind of getting help or going for help is just an appearance in the story. It's just something that would appear to happen.
And it's really, as you said, the individual wants to be seen and to be acknowledged as an individual with all this being given practices and
Oh yeah, yeah. Like if we're what we were talking about earlier, like when the energy of the individual at these meetings wants an answer to a question. It's how the meeting functions. Energetically, you want to know, you want an answer to the question, and you want to be, hello, sorry, I don't know, Kenneth, did you see me? I'm here. You know, I'm just over here. Sorry, you keep missing me. I'm just here. Maybe you can't see me. Just, you know, it's that energy of like, you know, look at me, look at me, look at me. And that's all part of this sharing, is it can be seen that because I can't see you, because all I can see is wholeness. And so energetically, that can obviously feel very confronting to the individual. But it's also there's a boundlessness to that, because it can just be seen that, oh, instead of being seen as little me, I'm unconditional love. Fuck. I am everything. Nothing being everything. That's what it's so obvious. It's too obvious.
Kenneth, what do you mean when you say you only see wholeness? You don't see different bodies?
No, so what I see is I see the same as what an individual would see, and yet it's totally different. It's the total exact same, and it's totally different. And of course it has to be the exact same, because I'm not talking about a state or an experience or anything like that. So obviously I see bodies that are, you know, but instead of seeing a lived sense of seeing an individual who has a life, all I can see is aliveness as the body, in the same way that aliveness is as a bunch of flowers up there on a piano, and because all there is then aliveness. So the separate dualistic reality collapses, and it's the exact same as it was before. Of course it is, because obviously what you're yearning for is simply whatever's going to happen, except that it's different, because it's not you looking at somebody, it's just bodies speaking, just aliveness. It's very, very simple. It's very simple and ordinary, and that's the way it is. But if you feel like an individual, there'll be a lived sense. It's a subject-object reality. So you're in this reality where you're not actually seeing somebody as they actually are at all. You're seeing an object, because that I know that person, I met them last year, their name is whatever, and there's a narrative about the person, and you can't actually see, you never see anyone as they actually are when you know them, because you meet your idea of them. That's all you're meeting. And exactly the same with Hampstead. If I walk down Hampstead, I feel like I'm an individual, I meet an idea called Hampstead, which is made up from, it could be all fresh like a newborn babe, you know, I'm over from Ireland, I've never left the country. I'm a simple man, I've never traveled abroad. Oh my God, this is amazing. And it's all new and everything. Or it could be, you know, oh, I was in Hampstead last 4 years ago. Oh, I remember that place. I know, you know, and you're in knowing. Like there's a staleness there's a second-handness to feeling like an individual. Because you see, you're in a dream of repetition. So, and a knowing. So, oh, there's this again, and oh, this place again, oh, this person again, you know. But there's no person again or this again, because actually this is nothing being everything. It's always new, and it's unknowable. So it's just it's an illumination of that can't really be spoken or described. Not because it's really complicated. I can't describe the difference from feeling like an individual, and the individual can't imagine it. And yet, if the sense of being an individual just wasn't there, it's the most obvious thing in the world. It's just simply whatever is appearing to happen. Nobody can describe it.
So what appears to happen here, and I've been noticing it on my way here, I stopped in the heath and I sit with myself.
Yeah.
And but somewhere something of this understanding starts to be felt, and I want it, and yet what happens is almost as it begins to be maybe to just some sense of dissolution, the I steps in very quickly. It's sort of quite frustrating, but
Yeah.
it just it keeps inserting itself.
Yeah. Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so there's just what's appearing to happen.
Yeah.
So there's a sense that there's in the heat with yourself, you and yourself in the heat, the two E,
Yeah.
relaxing in the heat, and then there's, say for instance, there's frustration. Then of a sense, oh, there's just this, maybe just this, and then a kind of arising of wanting to know that there's just this.
Yeah.
And say there's that's just what's appearing to happen.
Yeah.
And then there's frustration. What's being suggested today is it is the frustration. It's inescapable. It's inescapable. It's just what's appearing to happen. So that's what's appearing to happen. But in the mind of the individual, or for the individual, there's a narrative going that, oh fuck, I was nearly there in the heat. Me and myself.
Just now.
We found a perfect spot. The sun. I was just there. I was just. And then this me popped up and wanted to know I was just there. Why didn't it stay down? You know, there's a sense as an individual of like, oh, I'm nearly there. I was there. This, and then, oh, I'm back to being a me now again.
It's quite subtle at the same time.
Yeah, but it's just what appears to happen,
is.
and all you can do is talk about what's appearing to happen.
Okay.
And the suggestion being made is that's all the same. That's all the sense. That's all the sense of what's. That's just what's appearing to happen.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's all just the narrative of the me thinking, oh, I'm here, I'm not here. Oh, this is it, this isn't it. And it's nothing to do with the blah 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 of that. That's just what's appearing. That's just. Yeah. It's unknowable. It's unknowable. It can't. Any sense you have of knowing it, or there's a concept that people would have of, oh, the day I drop away, that's going to be great. Well, who's going to be there? Who's it going to be great for? But it's more of the it's just the dualistic dream thinking, it's not this and it's this, and someday I'll be there and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, in the dualistic dream, the story me has been the story continues with the words of the non-dualism that I'm the person's learning and attempting to guide itself.
Oh, completely. Like the individual can do nothing except make something out of this. That's all they can do. So they will make something out of non-duality, of course, and they will imagine what's being spoken of. And that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just what's appearing to happen. But I'm not speaking to any individuals, and it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit what the individual makes of this or thinks, or because I'm not speaking to anybody. See, the individual can't hear it. It can't. What's being suggested, the individual can't hear it, because they're just being an individual. it's so simple. It's just so simple. Say whatever. I won't keep going through the list. It's directly whatever is appearing to happen. So if there's a sense of frustration, that's it. That's aliveness as frustration. The individual, it's not that there is an individual who's in a dualistic dream. The individual is dualism, and it's a lived sense of frustration. No, don't like frustration. So there's a pushing away of kind of one and a pulling in of another. Pushing away confusion, pull in clarity. Push away pain, pull in pleasure. It's this continual, and it can't be, it's not seen in that actually pain is aliveness, wholeness as pain. And pain is, of course, it then. So it's inescapable. Yeah, it's just whatever's appearing to happen. Yeah. You were sitting on the wrong hill in the heat that day, I'll tell you. There's a particular spot you have to find. It's a really closely kept secret though, isn't it?
I'm gonna follow you.
Your chakras weren't open enough, maybe. That was it.
And a special spot where the ley lines, they come there.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. But it is the sort of stuff we fall for, though. We love that kind of stuff. All this special knowledge of some tribe in the Amazon who developed something, blah, blah, blah. The more complex, the better. Anything but just this.
Yeah, exactly.
Gladly. I think the tricky thing is because it's this. That's why it can't be described. Like from here, I can't describe this. It's
Nobody
just this.
can, no.
It's this, and it's always just fucking this.
Yeah.
And that is funny as fuck.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And it's just hilarious. But it literally is this.
It's too immediate, yeah.
And when there was a lot of seeking going on way back from the 90s and all that, it was exactly what you were saying. It was like, okay, well then there's these special people, go and see them, and then they'll maybe pass it on to you, and then you're fucking horseshit.
Yeah.
Absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it's this.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And as you say, it's like pain, knees sore, pissed off.
Yeah.
It's it.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's it. As you say, it's
It's
game over then.
It's game
done.
over and game on.
Game over and game on.
All at the same time, because then there's the wonder of unknowing for nobody. And, it's not describable. It's not.
I mean, I would say that, because I've got a very particular sense of humor.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't like, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's gotten even worse since,
Yeah.
like, there's no, and in my game, I have to watch what I say.
Yeah.
I have to watch, but you know what I mean? It's just, it's unfiltered, just bang.
Yeah.
From nowhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything anyway.
It's really cool.
No, it's just.
We can turn our chairs round now.
No.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, but it's so like it is. That really is the thing about it is there's no authority. It's so gorgeous when it's seen that there's nothing here that knows anything. There's no speaker that knows anything. There's no authority whatsoever. There's no teacher. There's no guru. It's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely stunning. And when you feel there is, it's of course it feels that that's logical, because in the story it's the emperor's new clothes. You know, everyone, well, he's lovely clothes. Yeah, the clothes are lovely. Do you know, it's like, fuck, everyone's saying it like that he's lovely clothes, but I can see his willy fucking dangling in the breeze there. But I'll say nothing. Do you know? I mean, it's almost like that's overlaid even more to the point that you're almost like hypnotized that he's wearing clothes. So if it's said in the story that there's a guru and a teacher who's done this and found this, it really will feel so real that there's this special, and it's logical too, that if they did something, I can do what the thing they're telling me to do. So it makes total sense. And also there's a yearning for wholeness, because there's the world and there's me. So there does feel like there's something missing. So maybe this person, you know, it's completely logical that would appear to happen. And it's also just a play of light. It's just what appears to happen. Someone follows whoever until they don't. You know. But there's nothing to know. There's nowhere to get to. There's nobody who knows anything, who has anything. It's just what appearing to happen.